Have you ever wondered what the mysterious secret of Methuselah is? Why did God allow him to live for 969 years, the longest life recorded in the Bible? Is there a special reason behind this longevity? And why did God wait for his death to send the flood that destroyed the earth? And speaking of mysteries, why in the 2014 movie Noah, starring Russell Crowe, do we see a sword supposedly belonging to Methuselah, used to kill 98,000 demons? This sword had the name of God engraved on it. Does this have any biblical basis, or is it just a creation of Hollywood? Where does this story come from? Welcome to the Tipperika channel, where we explore the Bible chronologically, revealing hidden truths and uncovering fascinating mysteries. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. Also, leave your like and share this video so that more people can learn about these intriguing topics. Today, we're going to dive into the life of Methuselah, understand his importance in biblical history, his relationship with his father Enoch and his grandson Noah, and discover the traditions surrounding his death and the flood. We'll also explore the origin of the story of Methuselah's sword and how it relates to mystical traditions. To better understand the life of Methuselah, we need to go back in time and understand what the world was like at the time of his birth. Methuselah was born in an era when the earth was newly created, and men still had a much deeper relationship with God and lived for centuries. He is part of the lineage of Seth, the third son of Adam and Eve, who was born after Abel's death. The Bible tells us in Genesis 5 that the descendants of Seth lived extraordinarily long lives. Adam, the first man, lived for 930 years. Seth, his son, lived for 912 years. This longevity was passed down from generation to generation, culminating in Methuselah, who lived for 969 years, the longest life recorded in the Bible. Should I explain how the ancients counted their ages and why they lived so long in a previous video? The link to that video is in the description. To understand Methuselah's life, it's essential to start with his father, Enoch. Enoch, described as a man who walked with God, had a special and deep connection with the Creator. At 65 years old, Enoch fathered Methuselah, and during the next 300 years, continued to live a life of intense communion with God. This spiritual relationship profoundly impacted Methuselah's upbringing. From a young age, Methuselah grew up observing his father in moments of deep meditation and prayer. Enoch frequently talked with God and received divine visions and revelations. The Book of Enoch, an apocryphal text, recounts many of these visions, including prophecies about the future and teachings on justice and piety. Imagine Enoch sitting under a leafy tree, calling Methuselah to share these revelations. "My son," Enoch said with a serene expression, "God has shown me great things. Our lineage has been chosen to preserve faith and justice in an increasingly corrupt world." Methuselah, with eyes shining with determination, promised to follow his father's teachings, absorbing every word attentively. Family life for Methuselah wasn't just about spiritual teachings. Enoch also instructed him in daily and moral practices, reflecting the justice he practiced. Living with a father so devoted to God certainly shaped Methuselah's character, preparing him to pass these values on to his own children and grandchildren. At 365 years old, Enoch was taken by God, an unprecedented event that Methuselah likely witnessed. Although shaken by his father's loss, Methuselah felt his faith strengthen. This rapture not only reinforced his belief in God, but also motivated him to live according to Enoch's teachings. maintaining justice in a time of increasing wickedness. After Enoch's rapture, Methuselah took on the responsibility of leading his family and keeping faith in God. God comforted Methuselah, choosing him to follow in his father's footsteps in a world that was about to crumble. The Bible doesn't provide many details about Methuselah's entire story, so some authors, like Eliezer of Worms, a 12th century Jewish rabbi and mystic, turned to additional sources to fill in these gaps. Eliezer of Worms used the Midrash, the Talmud, Jewish mystical literature, and some folk traditions to write in the Perush HaRokich, an exegetical and mystical work on the Torah. According to the Perush HaRokich, Methuselah possessed a sword with the ineffable name of God engraved on it. This sword wasn't just a weapon, but a symbol of divine power and protection. The story recounts that Methuselah used this sword in a time of great danger and corruption. Demons and evil forces were threatening peace and justice on earth, and Methuselah, with the strength and authority granted by God, faced these evil beings. Methuselah's sword, imbued with the name of God, had the power to destroy these malignant entities. In an epic battle, Methuselah used the sword to kill up to 98,000 demons, as mentioned in the tradition. This text highlights Methuselah's courage and faith in a world full of darkness. After this great battle, Methuselah continued to live a life of righteousness and justice, passing on his father's teachings, Enoch, to future generations. He became an even more revered figure for his faith and heroic actions. Tradition states that after his death, the sword was buried with him, although some versions suggest it was passed on to Abraham. This story was used in the 2014 movie Noah, starring Russell Crowe. But as I just explained, this story has no theological basis. These are mystical stories influenced by the Greek invasion during the Hellenistic period, approximately 323 BC to 31 BC. During this time, there was significant interaction between Greek and Jewish cultures, especially after Alexander the Great's conquest. Leaving aside the mystical part and returning to the biblical story, Methuselah was the father of Lamech, who at 182 years old fathered Noah. Noah was born in a time of increasing corruption and wickedness on earth, a period that would culminate in divine judgment with the flood. Methuselah's longevity allowed him to be present during the first 600 years of Noah's life, a crucial time of formation and preparation. Methuselah, known for his wisdom and justice, likely played a vital role in Noah's education. Methuselah's presence would have been a pillar of strength and stability for Noah, especially in an increasingly corrupt world. The tradition of justice and piety passed from Enoch to Methuselah and ultimately to Noah created a line of righteousness that prepared Noah for his divine mission. Noah, chosen by God to build the ark and save humanity and the animals from the impending flood, would have found inspiration and guidance in Methuselah's teachings. The Bible tells us that Noah was a just and perfect man in his generations, and he walked with God, a description that echoes the life of his great-grandfather Enoch. According to Midrash tradition, God postponed the flood for 7 days after Methuselah's death, allowing a period of mourning for this righteous figure. But why did God wait until Methuselah's death to send the flood? To understand this, we can do some calculations based on biblical chronology. Birth of Methuselah. Methuselah was born when Enoch was 65 years old, Genesis 5:21. Birth of Lamech. Methuselah was 187 years old, Genesis 5:25. Birth of Noah. Lamech was 182 years old, Genesis 5:28. Flood. Noah was 600 years old, Genesis 7:6. Therefore, Methuselah was 369 years old when Noah was born, 187 plus 182, and lived another 600 years until the flood, totaling 969 years. Thus, Methuselah died in the same year as the flood. Methuselah's death, occurring in the year of the flood, marks the end of an era. According to the Midrash, God postponed the flood for 7 days after Methuselah's death, allowing a period of mourning for this righteous figure. This act of mercy highlights Methuselah's importance to God and underscores God's patience before bringing judgment upon the earth. With Methuselah's death, Noah took on the responsibility of continuing the righteous lineage. He followed in his ancestors' footsteps, maintaining faith and justice in a world about to be judged. But why did God decide to send the flood? What happened for God to make such an extreme decision? What was the world like before the flood? This will be the theme of our next video. If you want to continue following our chronological biblical explorations, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. And comment below. What do you think was the most important lesson Methuselah passed on to Noah?